Hello, music listeners, underground enthusiasts, and any company, corporation, or business out there who has a brand that they would like to get out there and they want to sponsor me. Listen, I'm desperate. I'll take anything. I actually don't really have a lot to talk about this week. Not a whole lot of songs came out that I was, really gravitating towards super heavily. But I did, want to get a video out, and there are a couple songs that I think are worth talking about. So it'll be a short one, but hey, it's better than not having one, right? Right? We are going to kick this week off with a new Simon M track, which is featuring aftrr and kurtis. Simon's output has kind of been few and far between over the past year, but when tracks have been dropped, they've always been, pretty adept displays at skill and genre fusion as well. Prefaced with a bit of a loose narrative to follow and some contextualizing in the description of the track on SoundCloud, the track is a groovy grunge sound with these super relentless drums and very dizzying synths, and also two pretty good vocal performances from both aftrr and kurtis. Both artists that I am familiar with and whose work that I have enjoyed in the past. And each of them do a pretty good job at pulling the track together. The sort of semi-obstructed delivery and the crackling mix of aftrr's vocals sounds pretty nice on this production. I like how relaxed they sound in comparison to the more exhilarating sounds in the instrumental. And as the production slows down a bit to a more organic sway, kurtis provides an equally crisp verse. It's a nice eye of the storm type moment where this track is so energetic before picking back up again. I'm happy to hear from Simon again, and both aftrr and kurtis do a pretty good job of helping bring this track to life, even if they aren't the most dynamic verses I've heard from either of these artists. They're certainly worth the listen. And then we have a new Tennyson track being Dolphin with Leslie. This is a track that is packed full of texture, which is something that I have kind of been seeking out more and more recently with the songs that I've been listening to. And with that, it's also a pretty playful track as well, with much of the structure sort of playing into a sort of instrumental call and response format, with elements of this track feeling very electric and intoxicating, working in tandem with these sort of bubbly drum bounces. It's a kind of house, kind of future-based sound that feels very indulgent in every single component that's been thrown into the mix here. I'm pretty sure there's even a Sans Undertale clip added in there somewhere, just kind of tucked away, hidden a little bit, but I heard it. I know it's there. I've never been great at describing house, EDM, D&B, you name it, but I really do want to reinforce how inventive and dynamic this track is, executing some high-risk, high-reward momentum killers that pay off pretty well, keeps you on your toes in a pretty great way. It's tense, but kind of like in this teasing way, rather than like a eerie, scary way. I love it. Track 3 this week is going to go to Funeral with Drained to My Core. I had never actually heard a Funeral track before this one, but someone on my stream suggested Funeral to me, so here we are. Drained to My Core is a jagged kind of futuristic song that equally borrows from emo trap and post-punk, and despite the marching drums and flashing melodies, Funeral's haggard delivery stands out as the main source of intensity here. It feels dramatic and self-destructive in sound and in writing, each line seemingly delivered right after Funeral has expended any air that was left in their lungs. And the crushed drums and sort of rapidly beeping frantic synths and the bright vocal mix all sort of make this emotional turmoil of the song sickeningly sweet in a way. It's a pretty nice sound. Although I kind of found myself rapidly growing cold to this sound, to this kind of aesthetic when it premiered to a wider audience, it's nice hearing someone do something interesting with it, something that I enjoy. I think it's a pretty cool sound, and if this is a sound that maybe you're more inclined than me to listen to, then you'll love it. Then we have Shinigami with Sunset Factory, and I kind of wanted to touch more on the context of this song, almost more than the track itself, because it's a single gear in a greater machine that Shinigami has been working on for a while now, being the soundtrack for the video game 500 Caliber Contracts. And I'd be remiss skipping over this one because I think it kind of stands as a testament to Shinigami's persisting creativity and willingness to never stay in one place for too long. I did an interview with him a couple months back, and I got the impression that stagnancy firmly misaligned with his creative ethos, and that he wanted to expand his work beyond making just like, let's say, original vocal tracks, just, songs that he's making and putting out, occasionally an album. What I'm saying is I'm glad that he's doing that, and I think that going forward it would be nice to see him continue down a more eclectic path, especially considering how long he's been doing what he's doing. The track itself is a dissonant and metallic work of atmosphere and energy, and right away I can feel and get a sense for the environment that it is supposed to be a companion piece for. It's a testament to his ability as a producer, sure. That's right, but it feels more than that. And I'm excited to kind of see how this context and this angle sort of brings out his creativity in new ways. It's cool to see him doing something like this. It kind of feels like one of those things that people say, I should do this one day, but he actually is. And to close out this week, we have a Brecken track. And Brecken is an artist who has continually grown on me over time, going from sort of an acknowledgement of quality to personal enjoyment. As kind of silly and clinical as that sounds, that's the path I was on. I think this sort of circumferential harshness of this entire mix is a pretty good static for the song to have. The thickness in the vocals and the ever so blown out drums make the acoustic guitar that kind of lies in the back of the mix feel so timid, while Brecken's stressed vocals that kind of overlap one another maybe reveal the emotions of the song a bit more in a direct way. The writing is intimate, upfront, and conversational, which is something that I do appreciate. It feels accusatory and also introspective at the same time, sort of playing both angles of the situation, with Brecken singing this back and forth conversation of who's truly at fault here. It's super punchy, but it also has a nice sway to it. It's well made, it's well mixed. I feel like Brecken only really gets better with each track, and that's what you want to see. And that's going to do it for this week. Like I said, not a whole lot to talk about, but all 5 of these songs that I did touch on I think are all worth listening to, and they're pretty fun. Catch me in the next video where I say that Charlie XCX invented hyperpop and make you think that I mean it.